our presentation or demo, whatever we call it as. I would like to have a brief introduction from your side. What are you doing? What's your background? Then I'll give you my introduction also. But first, let's have your introduction. So starting with Santosh. So what are you doing, Santosh?
Yeah, so actually I'm into the industry and I have 10 years experience in SAP, so I'm in FICO area.
Right.
Basically I'm more into CO and logistics. So
Right.
so that's it. Like I did implementations and rollout project in SAP across the spectrum, and I worked in all the big four companies.
Right. Fine. Coming to Sardi. Sardi, can you just introduce yourself? What are you doing?
Hi Venkat, currently I'm working as a FSO consultant
Right.
in Excel technologies. Now I'm interested to learn this simple thing.
Fine. Okay. Coming to Venkateshwarlu. So what are you doing, Venkateshwarlu?
I'm also working as a FI consultant, basically not CO.
Right.
Having 7 years of experience that includes implementations, rollouts, support projects, etc.
Fine. Okay, so let me introduce myself actually. This is Venkat here. I've been into SAP almost for the last 12 years. So initially I started my career into accounts and finance. Then I shifted to SAP FICO. I've been into implementation, I've been into support, I've been into training. And at present I'm into a simple finance project which is in the initial phases. And coming to the training part, almost for the last 8 years I've been into training part. Okay. Okay, so if you people can just mute yourself, we'll proceed with the session, and then whenever we have any queries, you can unmute and then we can go ahead with the queries. You just mute your, yeah, Venkateshwarlu, you can also mute yourself. Okay. So what we'll do here is, as far as our agenda is concerned, we'll talk something about the need for simple finance. Why is it that organizations are moving towards simple finance? Then we'll talk something about the overview of simple finance functionalities. We're talking about the deployment options of the simple finance. What are the different options which are available? And obviously, once we finish this part, we'll be talking about the course content also. The course content, I think it has not been forwarded because I was just involving myself in some other editions. That's why I could not forward it to you. We'll have a discussion about the course contents also. What exactly are we going to discuss? All these things. Now, if you just look at the changes which are happening in the business world, the business is moving at a much faster pace. There has been complexities in the external conditions. There have been explosion of big data. If you look at all these things, what I have listed it here, there's a pressure from the global side. There's a need for coming out with a real-time data. So with the existing systems, it's always difficult for a business to come out with real-time data. So these are the basic problems in general. Actually, I'm not talking about specifically into finance area. In general, these are the different problems which a business is facing. Now, when we come to specific problems related to the finance also, we'll talk about finance also. I'm talking about the global complexity. I'm talking about how the data is there, how the batch processing is delaying all the activities which we are doing, and how the old architecture is delaying the process. When we talk about scattered data, exclusively when we talk about what analytics field or the people who are working in the analytics area are doing, basically these are the people who should concentrate on more on the report generations, but they're concentrating more on the report gathering basically, because of which the final output is getting delayed. Secondly, the batch processing. The major problem is difficulty in keeping up with the demand volume. Almost 76% of the global companies do not have the financial performance data at ready. Something which was there in 2014, maybe it might have increased also. Similarly, the closing process are being delayed. Similarly, the old architecture, whatever we are talking about the old architecture, because of which there's a delay in the processing, because of which the company is not able to get the real-time data basically. Now, these are some of the basic things I've been talking about. I'm not talking about the technical accounting impacts. If you talk exclusively about the delay in the accounting processes, Though every company wants to speed up its business process, due to whatever the batch processing which are going on in a particular company, the company is not in a position to process its business in a faster pace. There will always be delay in the period closing. There will always be some accounting adjustments. That means, once you have closed your accounting period, quite obviously there will be some new postings which will be coming from the end user side, and he would like to include that in the consolidation process, which is going to delay the process again. And there will always be data loading problems. Now, when I say data loading problems, I'm talking exclusively from the BPC point of view. Whenever we talk about consolidation in BPC, the consolidation doesn't take place only in one particular server. We have to extract the data from the ECC system first, which will be done by taking the help of a BW server. And then in the BPC system, we are going to consolidate this. Now, this whole process is going to take some time. So by the time you generate your consolidated report, it's quite possible that the data might be outdated. The basic problem is, in this world, even a delay of 1 or 2 days, the data is becoming outdated. So organizations basically were looking out a real-time data. They wanted a real-time data so that decision-making can become much more effective. All these general and accounting related problems were linked to the functioning of the traditional database systems. When we talk about traditional database systems, we are talking about what organizations are using at present, your ECC, or maybe whatever is the non-SAP environment which they are using. The traditional database systems were designed to perform well on computer system with limited RAM, due to which there's a slow disk input output, which was a major bottleneck. And some of the problems I have listed out here in the traditional database systems. These are some things which we are facing on a day-to-day basis again. Lack of responsiveness, or your user frustration, or unsupportable business process, lack of transparencies. And it's quite possible that when your data is not up to date, you might miss some opportunities. Proceeding further. So since organizations wanted a solution for this, SAP has come out with a solution in the year 2011 with HANA. To resolve the problems, SAP came out with HANA in the year 2011, and this is known as an in-memory platform. Anyway, we are going to discuss about the in-memory platform when we go into the course, what exactly you mean by in-memory, all these things, what do you mean by columnar database, all these things. But basically, when we talk about SAP HANA, earlier it was, the data was stored in the disk, and now it is not in the disk, it's more into the memory basically, because of which the processing much faster. It is a common database approach for online transaction processing as well as online analytical processing using the memory column database. Now, when we talk about online transaction processing and online analytical processing, we're talking about something like your normal day-to-day activities, plus that is being transferred to your BW, again from there going to the BPC, where we are trying to again go ahead with the consolidation reports and all. But earlier there were 2-3 servers. Now everything is in one common server, and the processing is much more faster because the database which we are using is based on the columnar database. So earlier it was the row-based analysis. In the year 2012, SAP came with BW and HANA. So when we go with BW and HANA, real-time analysis as well as real-time reporting can be seen. 2013 was with SAP Business Suite powered by HANA. I'm just giving you the process how SAP has moved from 2011 to 2015. And in the year 2014, it was Simple Finance powered by HANA. And the next year, that is your 2015, S4 HANA, which is the new generation business suite, combines SAP HANA platform with SAP Fiori, many of the tools actually. Now, when you say Fiori, it's a tool where a user can design the screens, and it can be used for accessing the screens in the mobile. So it's becoming much more easier basically. The same thing I have explained it here in a diagrammatic format, how it has moved. 2011 it has been the in-memory platform. 2012 it has been SAP powered with HANA, and some more changes in 2013, Simple Finance in 2014, and in 15 S4 HANA. And when you say S4 HANA, this is something which combines almost whatever has been happening in SAP right from the year 72, along with whatever the latest innovations which are taking place in HANA. It's a combination of all these things, and it has come out with S4 HANA. That's what I've given here. SAP S4 HANA combines the most recent innovations, that is SAP HANA platform, SAP Fiori, user experience, UX, along with 40 years of experience in mastering the complex industry challenges in a new suit that caters to the digital and networked economy. This is something which combines everything, because of which the processing as well as the real-time data which can be produced is much more faster, based on which the decision making becomes much more easier. Now we can call this as simple finance overall solutions, which has the following: memory enabled, which call it as instant insight in the memory enabled; the user experience, about which we are talking as SAP Fiori, and this is basically how the deployment can be done. We call it as flexible and non-disruptive cloud or on-premise. There are three options available actually. We'll anyhow talk about this, but how the deployment of SAP Simple Finance can be done. It can be on-premise, it can be on cloud, or it can be hybrid also. We'll talk about this as we go a little further. Now this talks something about what are the changes which have come up in the overall Simple Finance. These are all the areas which have been included under one common platform. Now, if you remember earlier, there was something like SAP Financial Accounting New, there was Financial Supply Chain Management, there was Treasury and Risk Management. All these things were there. But now everything has been put under one common platform. We'll be talking about the financial planning and analysis. We'll also be talking about accounting. That means once an organization is moving towards SAP Simple Finance, what are the changes which have come up under the general ledger? What are the changes which have come up on the receivables as well as the payables, the asset accounting part, as well as some of the changes in the management accounting part. And we'll be talking about the treasury and risk management also. Now some of the things have not been released by SAP itself. Some of the areas in the treasury and risk management, they have not been released, similarly in the collaborative financial operations. Anyhow, I'll discuss about all these things as we move a little further, what exactly the course content and all. But overall, when we talk about SAP Simple Finance, these are the 5 different areas which have been put on one common platform. We don't have different servers at present now. The financial planning and analysis, because this was something which was done earlier in the BPC. Accounting and closing, this was something which was done in the normal financial accounting, FI area. The treasury and risk management, something which was linked with your FSCM also. The cash management also a part of the FSCM. You don't have different modules at present. Once an organization moves towards SAP Simple Finance, all of them are on the common platform. 3 major functionalities along with SAP S/4HANA we'll be talking about. When we talk about the overall course, we'll be talking about SAP Accounting, powered by SAP HANA. We'll also be talking about SAP Cash Management, in which we'll be talking about the liquidity positions, as well as the bank position, the cash position, the day-to-day cash requirements. Similarly, the integrated business planning. This is where we'll be going ahead with integration of an ERP with the BPC also, along with some fundamental concepts required for an SAP finance consultant in S/4HANA. We'll not be going into the depth of S/4HANA because that will be taken care by a person who is into S/4 administration or S/4HANA modeling. Actually, we are not into HANA modeling. We are basically into when an organization is moving from an FICO to, let's say, Simple Finance. What are the things which we are supposed to understand under S/4HANA? That will be our major area here. Major focus will be there. So here we are talking about single source of truth. When we say single source of truth, we'll talk about everything will be there under the common platform, HANA platform. And whatever we are getting, the data will be real-time financial process. And when we talk about predictive insight and foresight, we are talking about the integrated business planning part. Earlier, something which we were doing in the business, BPC actually, business planning and consolidation. We don't have a separate area now. Everything is under one common platform. So these areas we will be covering about. We'll be talking about the SAP Accounting, the SAP Cash Management, the integrated business planning. We'll be talking about the S/4HANA also. Now in detail, I'll tell about what exactly are we covering in these areas as we go to the course content. So proceeding further, SAP Simple Finance will enable the next phase of financial transformation, reshaping both transactional and analytical financial process through instant insight to action based on real-time information. So more into the instant reports. There is no delay, there is no data redundancy at all. Whatever is required, it is being posted from the FI side and the report is being generated from the Simple Finance side immediately. The same thing I have explained it here, finance transformation enabled by SAP Simple Finance. When we talk about single source of truth, we're talking about the central finance platform. Now anyhow, central finance platform I'll be talking about after a few slides. The real-time processing, the data which we are obtaining. Earlier it was an outdated data. Now it is real-time data. You need to depend on the real-time information where your decision making becomes much more effective. And dynamic planning, since your data is based on real-time, quite obviously your planning will also be much more effective. A very important step this is whenever an organization is moving towards simple finance. It can think of going in on-premise, cloud, or hybrid. Now how the deployment can be done? First, it can think of going for on-premise. I'll talk about all these things. It can talk about something like cloud, or when we talk about hybrid, it's a mixture of both. What does on-premise mean? In this scenario, the client will have the infrastructure in its premises. We're talking about something, the infrastructure being purchased and put it in the premises. Now, when we talk about on-premise, we are exclusively talking about going for the configuration being done. This is something which can be used by a company which is directly moving into SAP without ECC. The client has to configure everything as done in the ECC, and quite obviously we'll be having the building blocks as well as SAP best practices. This approach can be used for a new client where SAP is not there. Modification can be done by the company. Whatever the changes which are required can be done by the company. They can go with cloud actually. When the client opts for cloud, all the business processes are already predefined. When you say cloud, we are talking about the data being stored online, which will be managed by either a SAP person or maybe some other vendor. We have to add the master data of the client to the cloud. There's nothing like configuration here because already everything is predefined there. We're just going ahead with transferring of the master data into the cloud. The third is the hybrid. There's a combination of both the premise as well as cloud. Now, initially, let's say companies are using something like on-premise. They've already implemented it. But let's say over a period of time, they've gone ahead with some mergers and acquisitions. Then it's quite possible that immediately this data may not be transferred to the cloud or transferred to the on-premise infrastructure. Then they can opt for going ahead with the cloud option. Organizations which are not using ECC but want to move towards SAP S/4HANA and Simple Finance can use an approach which is known as a main car approach. Let's say there's a company which is using a different software, maybe a different ERP, not an ECC one, and it is directly moving into the SAP S/4HANA, and it wants to go ahead with Simple Finance also. Then they have to use an approach which we call as a main car approach. The whole data will be going into the SAP HANA as well as SAP Simple Finance. There's a second approach also. Second approach is where ECC has already been implemented, where the company is already using the SAP system. Organizations which have already have ECC and want to move towards SAP S/4 and Simple Finance can use a sidecar approach. When you say sidecar approach, we need not go ahead with the data being transferred, the whole data being transferred to the SAP. It's quite possible that some of the areas can be transferred, or they can go ahead with something like a hybrid approach. Some of the transactions they can go with on-premise, some of the transactions they can go with cloud. Now, whenever a company is moving towards S/4HANA, it can go ahead with any of these three options. The same thing I have explained it in the previous slide. It's a totally new customer. He can have any of these options. You can go with on-premise or cloud or hybrid, but advisable to go with on-premise. Similarly, SAP Business Suite on any database customer. Maybe they are not using SAP, but they are on a different platform. They can use any of these systems once again. They can go with on-premise, upgrade to the latest EHP, migrate to the HANA, transfer the data to the cloud also. The third option, Business Suite powered by SAP customer. They can go with on-premise or cloud or the hybrid option. Now, a very important approach here, adoption scenarios in a sidecar approach, where SAP is already implemented, but then they are moving towards the Simple Finance. First option is upgrade and migrate. Let us say, they're having 3 different systems now, 3 ERP servers, maybe for different purposes. It may be your BPC or your BW or whatever it is. Everything can be transferred into Simple Finance with 3 different servers again. In Simple Finance, you have once again 3 different areas, which definitely could be a costly affair again, because they have to spend a lot on the infrastructure again. They can go ahead with upgrade, migrate, and consolidate. The data will remain here, but then you are transferring it to one common platform, only one common Simple Finance platform. The third option, you can call it as replicated to the central finance system. Now this is an important test. We'll talk about this in the next slide again. Now it's quite possible that in some of the scenarios, a company might be having the SAP system also, and some of the transactions it might be doing under non-SAP servers also. So in that case, is it necessary for them to transfer everything to the Simple Finance? No, they can create an interface actually through landscape transformation. Whatever the transactions which they are doing under a non-SAP environment, they can record it here. For reporting purpose, they can transfer it to Simple Finance and get everything under the universal journal entry, which we call it a central finance system. With this feature, a company can transition to Simple Finance without any disruption to the current system landscape. All the different account entities like the profit center, cost center, etc. from the non-SAP systems will be mapped to one common set of master data in the central system. So what we are trying to do is, whatever the accounting entities which are existing under the non-SAP environments, which can be a profit center, which can be a cost center from your non-SAP systems, it can be mapped to one common master data in the central system. That means your existing systems need not be changed at all. You can go ahead with your existing system, but the reporting can be done under the SAP Simple Finance system. So when we go ahead with this, whenever we are recording a transaction in the local system, that means either it can be your ECC or it can be your non-SAP system also. The FI document will generate, along with FI there will be a CO document will be generated. But when we talk about the central system, it will be saved as a single document, which is a universal journal entry. You don't see 2 separate documents there. Major focus in Simple Finance. What exactly are we talking about? We need to talk about SAP S4 HANA compulsorily. We need to have some HANA basics compulsorily. We're talking about SAP S4 structure, definitely. We're talking about the finance areas. We're talking about FICO as well as FSCM. And if you already have the knowledge of FSCM, it's always going to be an added advantage to you. And basically when we talk about the reports, we're talking about the Fiori as well as Lumira. Lumira is basically for how do you design your reports and all. And when we talk about Fiori, you can get the data in your mobile also. Okay, coming to, so I hope things are okay till here. I didn't talk anything about the course content till now. Any questions, any doubts? I would like to highlight something on the course content also now. Okay, let me discuss about what exactly are we doing in the so this duration is something which can be extended also depending on what exactly are we going to add in these areas. Roughly I have given a time of about 35 to 40 hours, but it can be more than that also. Course covers the basic aspects of S4 HANA and SAP Simple Finance add-ons. It includes aspects on migration to Simple Finance. We'll be talking about SAP accounting powered by HANA, new functionalities in the general ledger accounting, asset accounting, and we'll also be talking about the management accounting. So these things fine. This is okay. We'll talk about what exactly are we going ahead. So our basic part will start with overview about S4 HANA. We'll be talking about introduction to HANA. We'll also be talking about S4 HANA and some basic things about the Simple Finance. Before we go on to the migration of SAP Simple Finance, we need to talk about some of the overviews, some of the add-ons in the Simple Finance. What changes have come up in the Simple Finance. We'll be talking about some technical overviews. We'll be talking about some technical overviews of the implementation prerequisites. What are the prerequisites which are required whenever an organization is moving towards Simple Finance? The architecture of Simple Finance. Analyzing the universal general. We'll be talking about the universal general also, because as I told you, in case of a non-SAP environment or an ECC environment, both FI as well as CO documents are generated separately, whereas that is not the case in case of your Simple Finance. So how this process works out. We'll also be talking about the central finance options, the reporting options, and the Fiori. Most important area we'll be talking about migrating to Simple Finance. This is one of the most important concepts, because any organization should think about this particular area. What exactly are the prerequisites needed for your migration process? We're talking about the migration process, analyzing the migration process. We'll be talking about some of the financial tables in the migration process, preparing for migration, installing of the Simple Finance, the system checks before the migration part. What are the configuration changes which we'll be doing under the GL, as well as the asset accounting part, migration to new asset accounting, activating of this, and the changes in the COPA, configurations of controlling for migration, migrating to the universal general. We'll be performing the checks and the data enrichment, finalizing the migration and perform and finalize the migration, and some activities after migration. What are changes which are coming up? Another important area which we'll be discussing about the result of migration to Simple Finance. Once an organization has moved towards Simple Finance, what is the impact of that? What are the changes which are coming up? Especially from the asset accounting side as well as the COPA side. This is an important area. We'll be talking about the new asset accounting again there, how an asset is created as well as posting of the asset acquisition after the migration process, the partial scrapping process as well as the depreciation run, the results of the migration, internal order settlement, as well as we'll be talking about the COPA. And another important area that will be your SAP accounting powered by HANA. What are the things we are covering here again? And in detail we'll be talking about asset accounting again here. The GL accounts and the cost elements in SAP, accounting powered by HANA, creation of your primary costs as well as the secondary costs, creation of the asset account as a statistical cost element, default account assignments, the period logs, post the secondary costing to financial accounting, appendix ledger. Appendix ledger is something which comes into picture when there is period closing has already taken place, but let us say your end user, the client, is asking you to post some more transactions where the closing has already taken place, consolidation process is already over, but some additional things are there. Then we can use the appendix ledger in your Simple Finance case. The asset accounting part, the unit number 6. We'll be talking about some of the overviews in new asset accounting. We're talking about the postings, post-integrated asset acquisitions, partial scrapping. The same thing in a much more detailed manner. The configuration part we'll be discussing as well as some of the end user activities. The management accounting process, what changes have come up in the CO side. New architecture of management accounting, the configuration of integration of FI as well as CO, COP and the material ledger in the Simple Finance, the configuration for operating concern, analyzing the cost of goods sold, the purchase invoice. So things from the management accounting side, checking the configuration for splitting of price differences, post the price difference. Some more things on Simple Finance again. We need to talk about compulsorily the cash management functions. Under the cash management, we have to talk about the house banks also. Another important area, because as I told you, financial supply chain management has been merged with Simple Finance. So there's no separate financial supply chain management module now. Some of the areas of the financial supply chain management has come into the Simple Finance, where we'll be talking about this cash management aspects. We're talking about the bank account management, BAM we call it as. All the banking transactions. How do you manage, what are the day-to-day banking transactions, how we can go ahead in the SAP Fiori. All these things we'll be talking about in the further Simple Finance as well as the bank account management. Overview of the cash management powered by SAP HANA. Some of the technical overviews, the cash operations as well as liquidity management. As I told you, some of the topics which are not covered in the curriculum, we will not be discussing that. But yes, some theoretical aspects we can discuss on that, because SAP has not released them till now. Okay. So I've given a brief overview about these areas. So if you have any questions, we can spend some time. So I've given a time for this whole course as 30 to 40 hours, but it's always subject to change. It can increase also, it will never decrease. So any questions?
So are the training classes conducted daily basis or weekends?
As per your convenience, I don't have any problem. If it is in the night hours, I can take it daily actually. But let's say if it is in the morning hours, I may not be in a position to take up. Or if you are specific about morning hours, we can plan it during the weekends. So that part we can always decide as per our convenience. Not an issue at all.
So maybe daily 1 hour or
Daily 1 hour, 1 to 1.5 hour. 1.5 hour is better actually.
okay.
So that.
Okay, so you'll also give us the access, na, at the time to
Yeah,
do
access
the.
anyhow. Our KMR people will take care of it. Access as well as the material and all. I'll be sharing it with you. And maybe if you want some of the videos of SAP main certification videos, I can share them with you also. That's not a problem. Okay.
So one thing uh, let's see, like cash management and this bank management, so we do not,
Right.
like I suppose I do not have the idea for SAP itself. SAP ECC itself is handling the cash management and BAM. So
Right.
should I do the homework of first get comfortable or hands-on with the cash management part in SAP of FSCM, then I should learn these, that will be useful, or how it is, because do I need to correlate, like suppose in the implementations they will ask to do both the things somewhere, or it will only be simple finance cash management part. If the configuration or the content you have shown, if you do, then it
Yeah.
will just fulfill the requirement.
See, basically, when we go for any kind of migration to simple finance, it's better if we have some knowledge about FSCM also. Okay, because whenever we are moving towards it, quite obviously the client is going to ask you about whether the cash management or the bank functions are available or not, or whether you are aware of these areas or not. So my advice would be, if groundwork is possible on FSCM, you may not need in depth all the configuration aspects, but how the process flow is going on, how the business scenario is running. If you have idea about that and some of the configuration aspects, it will always be an added advantage. Okay.
And second thing, actually, I'm more interested, like during the starting of the project, like suppose you're when you're going to implement SAP Finance. So
Right.
from for a SAP Finance, SAP Simple Finance consultant, apart from, is there any check, or is there any, from the starting, like you're doing for SAP methodology, something like that. SAP methodology, taking gather, or directly you will go and do this stuff for them. I think the
See,
content more of kind of configuration and
yeah,
setting the system first in place. But before
exactly.
that,
Yeah.
because it's, for example, like you are saying asset. So
Right.
asset, they have already some assets, and if
Right.
they will say, like, we have delta come in place, while going to
Right.
the simple finance, you also this delta need to be loaded, and
Right.
this also, it's all together, the old data, new data, both will be managed in the SAP simple finance, things like
Right.
that. So do we have any prerequisite template kind of thing, which the building block has provided, or SAP has provided, or how it is?
See, basically it depends on which option your client is choosing. Let's say I've told you here three approaches: the cloud as well as your on-premise and the hybrid part. Okay, let me just take you to that slide. Okay, here.
Yeah, I understand
Now,
that. So on-premise, so I have also one question. Like in on-premise, what I understand is this on-premise, whether it is an already SAP customer, ECC customer or not, the on-premise thing.
see, on-premise, when we talk about it, if you already are into, let us say, ECC, okay, in that case, it's better to go ahead with an option of cloud. Okay, you go with on-premise where it is a totally new client, let us suppose. Okay, when you are going for on-premise, in that case, there will definitely be configuration because you have shifted to Simple Finance, where again you have to go ahead with all the configuration aspects right from the beginning again.
No, I didn't get. Like suppose the company is running on ECC,
Right.
he has ECC Finance. So now
Right.
if you want to go for Simple Finance, then
Right.
you're saying on-premise, how on-premise will behave in that case?
See, in that case, it's advisable not to go with on-premise. Okay.
Okay.
In that case, companies normally prefer to go with a hybrid option, or they can go with a cloud option. Okay. In that scenario, what happens is when you go for a cloud option, there is absolutely no configuration. Already there are some predefined templates are existing. The only thing which you do is you transfer this master data there, all this data which is already existing from this the client, and then you go ahead with linking of this to the respective this things, as I have specified it here actually. So when you go for cloud actually here in this particular part, you're just linking the tables basically. Only the linking aspect is there's absolutely no configuration part whenever an ECC is existing and it is moving towards Simple Finance option. On-premise is normally advisable for those companies which are totally new. They are not into ECC, they're into some other, let's say, ERP product. Then they go for the on-premise. I hope you got it, Santosh.
Yeah, I got your point.
Okay. So if at all you're going for a total new approach, let us suppose, where you're going for total into on-premise, in that case, yes, there will be building blocks, there will be SAP best practices available, you can follow that and you can go ahead. And when you're going for cloud, it's already predefined there.
But
So
I
you
think
just,
most of the customer will go for this hybrid concept because
exactly.
once they will go for a cloud totally because it's already template kind of thing. So someone will prefer, someone will won't prefer things like that. Though it's a fast implementation, but later on then they have some difficulties in customizing things like that. So people will follow something on premises and something in cloud, which are just
Exactly.
ready to available. They will go for cloud, and something they like asset, other things which they want take control of this, and they will prefer on premise.
Because if they go for cloud, the basic disadvantage is nothing is in their control.
Yeah.
It will be controlled by someone else. So some
Someone else, and
things,
they will do only the master data configuration. And after that, if they require some tweak to that thing, then how they do? Like suppose
it,
because if they have to
again,
depend on the
exactly, they have to depend on the vendor, whoever the concerned vendor who is giving you that cloud service, you have to depend on that.
Okay. So one more thing, like since you said you are in the project itself, look, so what people are talking about these reports and interfaces, like SAP, which the ABAP people or the customized reports that the client has developed by themselves, not the SAP reports. So is there any way to migrate that to any of the things?
See, anyhow, the old reports which are there, that is basically a data which is outdated almost. Okay, so see, earlier the reporting was whenever a company was going for either its planning or consolidation process, they were dependent more on the BPC module actually, where they were extracting the information, again they were consolidating in the BPC. This process was taking a longer time actually. So maybe
Yeah, I know. So I know that. So, but my question is like, so there are now 2 points. Like whether the BPC and BW, then somebody wants to learn because I thought of initially going into BPC a few months back. So now
right.
BPC, somebody wants to learn BPC and things like that. They BW, they will again come to the SAP HANA, SAP S4 HANA, or there is.
Obviously, they have to come down because what SAP is doing is
Uh,
till the year 2025, it is going to give the support for ECC for all these existing, whatever is existing now. From 2025, it is expected that it may remove this support actually for ECC or whatever it is, BPC or BW. So in that case, there is absolutely no alternate. Companies have to shift towards either SAP S4HANA or they have to go with Simple Finance. Okay.
Okay. Another question, like my question is actually like in the FICO itself, if they have some customized reports like ECC customized reports. So because that is not delivered by SAP, so the migration is happening Simple Finance. So that has been taken care of. Because any project you do, then this thing will come up. Like you have a customized report there.
Right. No, as far as the reports is concerned, the migration of reports is not required basically, because we can always generate the required reports there. That's why this, you don't normally go ahead with transformation of the reports basically. We normally go ahead with the transition of the database, not the reports. If you want a report, you can generate a report there itself.
So
Isn't
in
it?
the like yeah. So in the Simple Finance thing, then this ABAP development will be minimal. That was saying.
Exactly. Because the application layer is no longer. So since the application layer is not there, quite obviously the role for ABAP will be very less. Basis consultant will have a good role, and ABAP consultants, the role is going to come down to a greater extent. Yeah.
So though now the functional people, in that case, the functional people can also develop the reports there.
Exactly. Okay. Okay.
So from the functional consultant point of view, so what is the core area? Like, is it a migration to Simple Finance project is the core important one? Of course,
Exactly. My migration
all
is the most
chapters are all units are important.
important.
But out of these all units, which one is
This is the crucial part.
which one?
This is the crucial
Migration
part.
to Simple Finance.
Migration to Simple Finance. This is the most crucial part from the functional point of view, because you need to have knowledge about the FICO also. You need to have some knowledge about your FSCM also. Then you are migrating into the Simple Finance part. Some of the changes which are there into the Simple Finance, you need to have idea about that also. So this becomes the most important part, the migration.
So, okay, I don't have any exposure on CO side or new GL side. Do you suggest to take this training from me?
See, as far as CO is concerned, you have some idea about CO part. I mean,
The only basics, basically call center master data, only master data about internal gas.
okay, the product costing,
Not that much,
COPA.
no knowledge at all on COPA, profit
Okay.
center accounting,
Right.
product costing, etc.
See, at some point of time, you have to compulsorily come to this when you are into SAP FICO. Some point of time, you have to compulsorily move towards Simple Finance, because quite obviously, 5 or 6 years down the line, organizations are going to move towards Simple Finance area. So there's absolutely no alternate. Okay. So if you can do some groundwork on that particular part, as far as the controlling part is concerned, it will be really good, because all these things anyhow we are going to cover here also. Some of the things, some of the changes which have come up in the management accounting side. Or maybe
So
we
the
can have
Simple
some.
Finance, yeah, please go ahead, yeah.
Or maybe we can have some, maybe a session or 1 or 2 sessions on, and
Okay. So then there is no need of this BPC or BW, etc. No? Once Simple Finance is implemented. Hello. Hello. Looks we have lost the connection. Hello. Can anybody hear me? Hello. Hello?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Yeah. I think this is Santosh. So I think we lost him.
Venkat, no? Okay.
Yeah, Venkat, we lost Venkat.
Yeah, wait for 2 minutes.
Hello, Venkat, are you there?
Yeah, 1 second. Hello? Hello, Santosh.
Hello? Yeah, Santosh.
Yeah, actually, train is having no power right now. So maybe once the power is coming, he will be done before 9. So are you able to stay in up to 9?
Hello?
Okay, so okay. Uh,
Hello, Ramesh.
Anish,
Yeah,
so come again. What are you telling?
can you able to stay up to 9 p.m. sir, because train is having the power loss right now?
Yeah. No issue. We'll be online. I'll be
Are
online.
you there, Ramesh? Hello, Ramesh. Hello.
Hello?
యా వెంకట అది ట్రైనర్కి పవర్ లేదండి ఒక 15 మినిట్స్లో జాయిన్ అవుతుంది పవర్ వస్తే జాయిన్ అవుతా అని చెప్పారు వెయిట్ చేస్తారు సార్
15 minutes, huh?
మేబీ 15 మినిట్స్లో సార్ కనుక రాకపోతే మీరు లాగౌట్ అవ్వండి సార్ దీని తర్వాత కాన్ఫరెన్స్
Okay, till 9 o'clock. Okay, I can no issue.
అప్ టు 9 o'clock సార్ ఒక 10 మినిట్స్ ఇన్ కేస్ పవర్ రాకపోతే కనుక ట్రైనర్ జాయిన్ అవ్వరు సో మీరు లాగౌట్ అయిపోండి సార్ నేను తర్వాత మీ కాన్ఫరెన్స్ కాల్ పెట్టేస్తాను
Okay.
ఓకే థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్ థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి
హలో బాబు అర్జున్,
చెప్పండి రమేష్ గారు.
ఈ ఫీజ్ డీటెయిల్స్ ఇవన్నీ ఎలాగా ఇప్పుడు ఆయన చెప్తారా, తర్వాత మీతో మాట్లాడాలా?
ఫీజు మేము చెప్తాం సార్, ఫీజు డీటెయిల్స్ మేము మాట్లాడతాం సార్ మీతో.
ఓకే.
డెమో ఎలా ఉంది సార్ ఇప్పటికి?
డెమో ఓకే, బాగానే ఉంది.
ఓకే. ఆల్మోస్ట్ సార్కి ఏంటంటే 9 o'clock క్లాస్ ఉంది సార్ సార్కి.
ఇప్పుడు ఎన్ని ట్రైనింగ్స్ అయిపోయినాయి సింపుల్ ఫైనాన్స్ మీద?
అది కనుక్కోవాలి సార్ సార్ని అయితే. మా దగ్గర అయితే ఆల్మోస్ట్ 3-4 బ్యాచెస్ కంప్లీట్ చేశారు. మరి సార్ ఎప్పటి నుంచి
సింపుల్ ఫైనాన్స్
సింపుల్ ఫైనాన్స్ సార్. మరి సార్ పర్సనల్గా ఎన్ని బ్యాచెస్ కంప్లీట్ చేశారు మాకు తెలియదు. రేపు ఒకసారి లేకపోతే ఇప్పుడు మనం క్లోజ్ చేద్దాం, క్లోజ్ చేసి రేపు ఒకసారి కాన్ఫరెన్స్ కాల్ అరేంజ్ చేస్తాం సార్ మీకు ట్రైనర్తో.
ఓకే, ఇబ్బంది లేదు.
ఓకే. అండ్ యాక్చువల్గా సార్
వెయిట్ చేద్దాం, క్లోజ్ చేద్దాం.
క్లోజ్ చేద్దాం, ఎందుకంటే సార్కి మళ్ళీ 9 o'clock క్లాస్ ఉంటుంది. సార్ ఒకవేళ జాయిన్ అయిన సార్ మళ్ళీ ఆదరా చెప్తారు.
అట్టయితే కష్టం లేదు, రేపు కాన్ఫరెన్స్ కాల్ పెట్టించే మాట్లాడదాం.
లేదంటే ఒకవేళ నెక్స్ట్ టైం డెమో అయితే నెక్స్ట్ టైం మళ్ళీ ఎక్కడి నుంచి ఆగిపోయింది అక్కడి నుంచి అరేంజ్ చేద్దాం సార్.
సరే, ఓకే.
ఓకే సార్, థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్. నేను ఒకసారి రేపు కాల్ చేస్తాను. రేపు ఆఫీస్కి వస్తాను సార్.
రేపు
ఒకసారి.
Hello.
Hello, Santosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Santosh. Trainer having another class at 9 p.m. So
Okay.
It's better to we will make it on after some days. So
Okay.
and one thing is, so how was the demo right now?
The demo is good. And another one request I want to make to the trainer, he should provide us the end user manual of the because in the content I cannot see the end user manual, because what happens is this configuration is okay, but since Simple Finance is new, so what will be the end user transactions that we need to know, like the end user manual, and so that should be included in the content.
Okay.
So you can pass on the message to the trainer. So and what's about the fee and other things? Could you tell me?
Sorry?
What's about fees and how it will be paid?
Fees will be tomorrow. I will call you, sir. No problem about that. And one thing is, tomorrow I will make a conference call with trainer, sir. So whatever you have doubts, you can directly ask to my trainer. So trainer will
Okay.
you. So what exactly you, because I'm not the correct person to tell you everything details about the Simple Finance. So trainer will be help you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Actually, trainer having another class at 9 p.m. So you can it's better to can log out, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your patience. Bye, Santosh.
Bye.